Best.Podcast.Ever. Boy.
But I don't want to get my house ready for something like that. So they're going to host it for me.
Molly Gebler.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
It's been ages.
It has been.
How long do you think it's been?
Ages.
48 minutes?
Let's just stick with ages.
So here we are at the notorious recording studios of the Gertzberg Law Firm, where so many stars have come into
walk the path.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And today's star.
And this is no different.
No, today's star.
No different.
Today's star is extra special.
Yes, to
would you like
us and many.
Right, Stephanie Puzzo.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie is
Drum roll.
Puzzo's the husband's name, right?
It is not. It is my name.
So back in the motherland, was it Puzzo?
Mm-hmm.
Or put like Puzzo?
Puzzo. So it's P-U-Z-Z-A.
But Americanized, it's Puzzo.
Puzzo. Yes.
Stephanie Puzzo and
Thank
I ran into each other a few years ago. I can't remember where exactly. Do you?
Was it through banking? Or
I think it was.
Like
it was Key Bank.
Yes, it was.
It was Key Bank. Yeah. So Stephanie.
I think we might want to edit that bank name.
No,
out.
I don't care. Was there a non-compete?
It's over.
No. What?
We're
Hell
good.
with them. Listen, Stephanie was my banker
Mm-hmm.
back in the day and provided exceptional customer service. And I mean, like...
Beyond.
Yeah, just really friendly and helpful and the kind of thing, like, usually I think of my bank like, oh, it's just a place to keep my money. I couldn't wait to go to Key Bank to hang out with Stephanie.
I'm going to cry a little bit.
Didn't we, Stephanie, didn't we hang out? We hung
A
out.
lot of
I
my
love
customers
that.
would come and hang out.
We hung out.
Yeah.
So then we, so Stephanie has since moved on to greener pastures at First National,
Mm-hmm.
First National Bank,
Yes.
on the
she is
corner
around
of
the
306 and
It's a
Washington.
beautiful building, by
It is
the
very
way.
pretty.
It
It's like a
really
little
is.
mini White House.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very pretty.
Between then and now, Stephanie and I have had a cornucopia of awesome conversations,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um,
I'd say.
Is
Like-
it cornucopia? Like, do you
as opposed to corn-we-copia.
what's cornucopia? I don't know.
Can we,
Well, he's just
Although I
can we
am.
tell the leprosy story real quick?
I am far from correcting you,
real
especially
quick.
after today. Yeah,
As an
you're gonna make
aside,
fun of me right now.
As an aside,
Oh, God.
earlier we were
Yeah.
playing Cards Against Humanity,
Best game ever.
and Molly said, "I don't know what my card says, leprosy," and I was like, "Oh wait, that says leprosy."
Yeah, I think Alex fell on the floor. I turned.
I took a lap.
I turned
took a
and
lap.
he was gone, and I looked on the floor. I
We're not
thought
all perfect, Alex.
Because Alex is, obviously, and can poke fun at other people
The thing is,
mispronouncing words.
it was a French restaurant that we were at. Today was the Gertzberg Law Firm holiday party.
Great restaurant, by the way.
We went to the Paris room, and so
Fantastic.
after that moment, we said, "Oh, Molly, do you have anything to say about leprosy?"
Yes.
Because it was
Yeah.
a French restaurant.
He didn't let it go.
Lip-
So now I'm going to
Leprosy?
make fun of you. You
Yes,
okay.
kept torturing me, and
It's-
it's on.
It's
It is
Molly
on.
Leprosy Gebler.
Yeah.
That's
And for those who are listening, I am giving Alex the finger with my eyes. So,
it's
I can
true.
feel it.
It's
yeah,
true.
you can all visualize that.
It's all true.
For sure. So enough about my mispronouncing
Let's get back to Stephanie.
things.
Shall we?
Let's
We
go
talk
to the
more-
star here
yeah.
in the room, please.
So, that's my background with Miss Stephanie Puzzo. What's your
I met
background?
Miss Stephanie when I became the chamber exec, and I think it was my first year we had grown largely, not by my body, but by membership.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm glad we got that sorted out. I wasn't
I
going to say
don't want to
anything.
confuse the listeners.
Oh my God.
I don't want to get. And
You see how this is going to go,
Yes,
Stephanie?
very
Stephanie's amazing bank was kind enough to I kind of made up the party because we had reached 500 members.
Celebration.
So it was a celebration, and then they sponsored it. It was a 500 celebrate 500 at Grove Hill,
Yeah, it was
and
good.
then I think you guys sponsored, and I think I made up another party the next year, but I can't remember what that was. And then you sponsored it as well.
something else.
Yeah, big supporters of the chamber. So that's how and it was love at first sight.
I love Molly.
And
Molly's good people.
She's great people.
It was, we're never going to break up. We're married forever.
Wow. So now that the kids listening at home know how we both know Stephanie.
Yes.
What should we ask Stephanie?
We should let them know Stephanie.
Stephanie, other than the important facts that we just disclosed about you, what should the listeners at home know about who is Stephanie Puzzo?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Who is Stephanie Puzzo?
That's a loaded question.
Let's start from the birth because that's an interesting thing right there, right?
I mean, if we wanted to go back even further, I say we go back like 5 years before birth.
I'm not that good, but
let's go back to like where was Sardinia? Where was it? Sicily?
No. My family, my parents were from Sicily.
Yes.
And back in the good old days, right after the war, there were no jobs. I think everywhere in the world down south was always a little bit more destitute, but specifically there. And so my grandfather and his parents, both sides of my grandparents, moved back up north to find jobs. So, but they knew each other back in Sicily. So my dad had traveled back and forth to the United States throughout his young life.
Visiting?
Well, his parents decided, because they had, oh my goodness, how many children? Some died, some, had made it, but like 10, 12 or something like that. And I think only 8 survived. And so to give them a better future, they moved to the United States, Long Island, New York. And
this was your parents?
This is my grandparents, my dad's parents. And some of them found spouses and stayed, but my grandparents could not put themselves to learn the language. It was too difficult. They were older already, and it was just too much. They moved back to Italy. My dad was the youngest out of all, so they schlepped him back.
Back to the U.S.?
No, back to home, to Italy.
Oh, they schlepped, okay.
Yeah.
And, this is my Yiddish is kicking in, sorry.
Schlepped. I like the way you mixed in the schlepped with the Italian. That was good.
Anyway, so then my dad married my mom, blah, 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 blah. 2 kids later, he decided that America was his home. So we were lucky enough to still have family here. Back in the good old days, you had to get sponsored and all that stuff. So we moved to the United States, Chagrin Falls, Ohio, the best town in the world.
Now, who's this? Which generation of Puzzos is this?
This is my dad. So
your dad moves to Chagrin Falls.
To Chagrin Falls.
Like
because
like 50s,
why?
60s, 70s? What are we talking
about? No.
Why Chagrin Falls from Italy?
Yeah.
So I was 10. Because his sister, who are a very well-known family, the de Blasi's.
Huh?
So Tina de Blasi, who was Tina Puzzo.
Shut up.
Yeah, so that was his sister. He wanted to be close to a family member. So because there was already a brother and sister in New York, he felt that the sister needed a brother here. So we came to Chagrin Falls. And the de Blasi's had a huge part, in making our stay better. They were very gracious and, helped us. And, of course...
Now, Frankie would be your cousin?
Frankie's my favorite cousin.
Oh, don't talk to him about me. That's a whole other Molly that...
I think it's about to all come out, Molly.
Is that bad or good?
Frankie and I dated Frankie's friend, and we had a lot of fun together.
Oh, we'll talk later.
During our high school days, yes.
Let's get it all out. Let's get it all out of the podcast.
He just actually made me some cannoli the other day.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yes, So went to Kenston, and my junior year of high school, my parents decided, hey, we're going to go back to Italy. So pack up your crap, move all the way back.
You were a junior in
high school. My brother is 4 years younger, so he was
Wow.
in middle school.
What inspired that? Was it money related? Was it jobs?
No, my dad actually had a very lucrative business here. My mother's father, my grandpa Giuseppe, had become ill.
Joey P. back in the day.
And he wanted to be closer. And although I hated my parents for it, I think it was the best decision, because my grandpa was my dearest and bestest friend. He was an amazing, he was very young, so he died at 64, so he was very young, and he was just, I don't know, there's no words to describe him. He was successful, he was caring, he was stern, anyways, so we got to spend a lot of time with him. He passed away the week before my 20th birthday. 22nd birthday, I'm lying. And
so you were there for a good 4 years.
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
And what part of Italy again? I'm sorry.
Milan,
Milan.
fashion capital of the world.
Right.
So it's like New York.
That's why you dress so well.
I know about today. I'm tired.
Yeah.
All of you.
So I said, I have no business here anymore. I want to move back to the U.S. But, side note, I was done dating my now husband, and we had been together for a long time, but I couldn't see me raising children in a concrete jungle. I needed my space, my freedom, my choices. So I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to move back. And although we've been together for a long time, I'm going to give you the choice. I can't force you. You have family, you don't speak the language. It'd be very difficult for you, but I'm going to give you that choice. So he goes, all right, let's see how it goes. Moved back December of 98, and in that next year he showed up with a ring. And I said, you're one crazy man.
And
I've never met him.
Where exactly are you at this time?
I'm here. I'm
You're
living.
here.
I'm living on Taylor May.
So let me
And
get.
he was from Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he was my.
Did you have a dual
I
citizenship?
do.
Okay.
I do have both.
Because you seem like
You
you were
met
traveling
him-
back and forth a lot.
You met him in Milan.
So my husband and I went to preschool together. And
One of those.
I love
Yeah,
that.
Preschool in Milan.
preschool together because in our neighborhood and our families knew each other, but we were kind of like Romeo and Juliet because his parents were Northerners and I'm a Southerner. So I married a Northerner.
So did you marry down according to your parents? Is that the,
Yes,
the other
but
side
according
of the
to
track?
his parents, way down.
Where,
So,
where in southern Italy is he from?
no, he is from Mantova, which is right by Verona, where Romeo and Juliet took place. Right?
How
That's
far?
where
And that's in the southern part of Italy.
No, that's way top. That's
That's
like
in the north. You're the south.
I'm the southern.
I thought Milan was north.
No, Milan is the furthest up north city, major city in Italy. So we're like an hour and 20 minutes from Switzerland.
So which one of you is the southern part?
I'm hearing you.
So
I'm confused.
Yeah.
No, I got you.
Yeah, no. So my parents are Sicilians. So
Ah.
I'm considered dark skinned.
I see. Your
Gotcha.
parents are Sicilian.
So
So you're the southern person.
I'm unworthy.
I gotcha.
So,
I gotcha.
Yeah, so that was insane.
So you're darker skinned and he's lighter skinned?
yeah, he is.
Northern is lighter
He is,
skinned?
yeah, he's pale green eyes, born with blue eyes, turned green, and I'm just dark.
So he's border Irish too then.
So you schlepped your husband back to the States.
No,
No,
that
let's
is
not put
not
words
what
in
He
the
you
schlepped
mouth.
himself to the
No.
He
States.
schlepped himself.
No, he was in love. That guy
Right.
was
No,
whipped.
What I heard
Yes.
was Stephanie said, I'm going to give you a choice. You can
No.
follow this awesomeness back to
She
the States.
specifically said, I don't want to give you a choice, and left a year.
Really? Because that's not what I heard.
I didn't hear choice.
I heard
I didn't hear
you can
choice.
hang out here.
You know what? That's a whole
with-
other
in-
podcast.
in
We can bring
Italia.
him in. We can bring him in.
We're
With
gonna-
his accent.
And
We're gonna do a
oh,
playback.
please, yes. Woo. Between that and Max and the violin, I'm done today. Max
And
plays the violin
Santa.
for us.
Love
Look
violin.
out.
Yeah.
Love
All right,
violin.
so you guys all come back to the States.
Mhm.
He gets
He comes
engaged.
here, and you know how things just happen for a reason because
Yeah.
that's just the way they are.
Yes.
So you know how difficult it is to get a visa, right?
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
All too
So
well.
this is prior to 9/11.
I'm pre-approved for visas all the time, according to my mail.
They can't stop giving him to
Well,
Molly.
they're still
I
hard.
wish
trust
they
me. So it just so happened that my mom became ill with cancer, and her lifespan was going to be no more than 6 months.
I'll never go down there.
Yeah. So it's a happy ending. Things happen for a reason. So we hurried up and tried to get married because the doctor said, look, we were going to get married in August. He said, you better hurry up. There's not much time left. So we decided April was a good time span. So when we got married, in order for him to stay, he needed more than just a student visa. So the doctors at the Cleveland Clinic, who were amazing, wrote
So
this
your mom was here at this point.
dissertation about how he needed to be here to support her, take her to chemo and things of that nature,
wow.
because we had to work in order to obviously provide the care that she needed. So it worked. They approved a visa. He had to go back to Italy for 1 day. He had to
So
go
the airlines can make some money.
and get the visa approved there, which the consulate already knew he was coming.
Right.
So they were very gracious and
Interesting.
And he got on the next plane and came home.
And do you go back? Do you frequent there?
So we try to go back as much as we can because we like to keep our kids bilingual. So his parents are still there, so it's important for them to know where they came from, what their heritage looks like, and why we chose to live here. So.
But you go back all the time.
I try, like at least every 4 to 5 years, because a trip, to
Molly, when my wife and I went to Italy this last time we went to Italy 2 years ago, our friend Stephanie was our personal private tour guide.
Wow.
And she plotted out, she got out a map, we met at Panera, and she got out a
You
map.
met at Panera in Italy?
No,
Yeah, we flew to Rome, we went to the
Okay.
Panera by the...
When you said my own personal, I assumed
I meant
Stephanie.
virtual.
Yeah, I assumed
She
Stephanie
got-
went with you.
She got on a map and she's like, "All right, you got your first. Here's a little tip for the kids at home, right?" Stephanie is like, "All right, the first thing you got to ask yourself is, do you want northern Italy or southern Italy? Here's what you get in the north. Here's what you get in the south." I said, and she gave me a spiel about each one. I said,
Was
"We'll
Panera
go with."
in the north or the south?
They got them all over. So I go, let's go with north, and she's like, "All right, here's what you do. You go, you fly into Venice." Then you take a train to Florence and you fly out of Rome. And we did that. It was a 10-day trip. It was the best advice. And then for the next trip, she's like, next time you go, then do the southern circuit.
Well, can I tell you something? Obviously, I've never been because
Yeah.
I'm not a flyer.
Right. We're going to change
which
that
we've
about you.
established.
Yeah.
Something about Italy and my family, and we're all Irish.
Okay.
Which is pretty much the most Italian wannabes that you could possibly have.
Close.
Is the Irish people.
The Irish are the wannabes or the Italian are
The
the
Irish
wannabes?
are the
Wannabes,
wannabe Italians,
Italians.
especially the Irish
Oh,
mafia.
There's a bunch of
world.
Irish people seething at home
Yes.
right now
Yeah.
listening to
Angry.
this.
But the ones
They're
that
getting angry
the ones
right
that
now.
no. But when
This podcast just got racist.
when somebody no, it's out of
We're just stating
pure
the facts.
respect. No,
For the
it's
record,
pure respect.
For the
It's-
record, the Gertzberg Law Firm does not believe the Irish to be Italian wannabes.
Yes. If you've met any of my uncles, and
Are they
yeah.
Irish or Italian?
They're Irish. McCurdy is my
Oh, wow,
my
okay.
family's main name.
Can't get any more Irish.
But after the spouse of anyone dies in our family, the trip is to Italy.
Why?
A couple months later, I don't know. My
To pay
grandma
respects.
started it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's just where everyone. So I keep telling John, you better just hang in there because I can't go to Italy, so he
Well,
can't go anywhere.
There's definitely like a Catholic connection between the Irish and Italians, right?
Yes.
Like people say
My
Irish
daughter's been to
Catholic.
Italy.
People
She
say
sang to the Pope.
yeah.
Yeah.
The new Pope or the old Pope?
Benedict.
And the other thing is, I think that like in New York, like the New York immigrants, there's a lot of Irish Italian pairing up, right? Did you ever see that movie Brooklyn? I just watched it the other day.
That's amazing.
you like that movie?
That was a great movie. She
Remind
was
me?
very good in it.
I
She
forget
comes
the-
over to Brooklyn
From
Oh,
Ireland.
no, I
to
haven't.
work.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's a great
Yeah.
movie, and
Put
she's
it on my
gonna-
list.
she's the girl from to bring it all around the Sean Penn.
Back to Cards Against Humanity earlier today.
The Sean
Penn
Penn
was
girl,
prominent there.
where it's not where the guy kidnaps the little girl,
That's an older
and then
movie.
he kills her. Yeah,
I don't know.
she's the little girl in it, but I can't think of it. Anyway.
Anywho. All right, let's talk more about Stephanie Puzzo.
Yes. So Stephanie, when you are not on a plane jet setting back and forth to need some light here. Back and forth to Italy, and you're not in the bank giving people change. What do you do? You
Wow.
have children.
I do. They're basically all my time.
Although you have a new child.
I do.
Is that true? What?
I have a
Yes.
little
Is
guy.
it a human child?
No, it's a fur baby.
A fur baby? A human fur baby?
His name is Gus Gus. He's a recent addition to our family, and he's fantastic. We saved
Who
him.
named him?
My little one.
I love that
After
name.
the mouse from Cinderella.
Okay.
The little fat
Is
mouse,
that
because he was a
true?
little pudgy guy, so we
I
named him
love
Gus Gus.
that. Gus Gus.
So we love him.
I've seen him on Facebook. He's a cutie patootie.
He's
Yeah.
Sure.
funny. Yeah, he's good. Good kid.
What
he's
inspired
my favorite
that?
kid.
Was that like a present for somebody or?
So I had a dog for 17 years, and she was my first child. Loved her to death, and we had to put her down. And I couldn't get a new dog. I just couldn't replace her. So I said we need some space. And 3 years later, we just bought a new house.
Yes.
And right now, we don't have flooring. We're walking on subflooring because we didn't make a choice, and we want to do it in the spring anyway. So what a better time. So even if he has accidents, we don't care. So
Right.
it worked out, but he's being really good. And so he's kind of sort of a Christmas gift, I say to the kids, but more for me. So I think pets are very therapeutic.
They are.
There's nothing better than a waggly tail when you get home instead of, Mom, where's dinner?
What's the breed?
So the mommy was a pit, and we think the father could be a lab or a mastiff.
What are you doing to train this puppy?
So we crate train.
Yeah.
So he's just good. I mean, we put him he goes to bed at 9:30. He crashes hard, and he wakes up at 5:30 in the morning to go potty. And when he gets to go potty, he scratches the sliding door now. Nothing. We just tell him no.
So here's the thing about dogs, right? You really need the entire family to buy in to training this dog and taking him outside and to getting him out there for walks, which I've learned the hard way. My family, God bless them, I hope they're listening to this podcast.
Poor kids.
I feel like if I'm not forcing these children to take the dog out for a walk or letting him out or keeping his bowl full of water, and it's like pulling teeth. And when we got him, ours is a pit.
Oh, I love pits.
Yeah, it's like a year and a half old. Her name is Shia LaBeouf. Yeah. And Shia LaBeouf is the best dog ever, but man, it's like pulling teeth to get the basic necessities done for this dog to train her properly. And when you don't take them out for a walk, they have all this energy and they just tear up your house.
Yes.
So you got to get the whole family.
For our listeners, if you are not ready for that, then don't get the
the
dog
yeah.
because they all come with that.
I know, it is true.
No.
So although some dogs are definitely more
docile.
Yeah, like they don't eat up your house if you don't take them out that day. Mm-hmm. Ours was not that way.
Our dog is a brat and gets up about 3 times a night for us to take him out.
No.
Because my husband gives her a treat for everything. So
now
she's not
like,
getting up she'll go outside and play the game. And then she'll come, because I can't see if she's peeing, because it's pitch black outside.
Yeah.
And then she's a spoiled, rotten brat. And I hope my family is listening.
No, we had a family meeting. I said, here, this is like having a kid, guys. It's a huge responsibility. So my little one, who will be 9 in about a month, she's the pooper scooper. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't care about clean up, throw up, poop, pee. It doesn't bother her. My older one can't do it. She gags, but she's take her out, play with him. And so luckily we have 2 acres, and he's kind of learned his boundaries on his own. So as soon as you open a door, he's running like a maniac back and forth, like in circles, and we chase him, and he comes in and he's out because he's tired. So absolutely, especially the bigger the breed, the more the exercise, or else they will tear up.
And Stephanie, it was something that nobody knows, like a podcast exclusive that you can give us.
A scoop.
Yeah, something. I went to clowning school. I'll just throw that out.
Is that
there.
true?
It is true.
What? That's an exclusive right there.
Note to self.
Yeah, so something like that.
Makes sense.
Something like that. That that somebody would wouldn't know about you?
Oh my gosh. So I'm
And
very open.
if your husband doesn't know about it, that's 20 extra bonus.
Yes.
20
Heck
points.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but extra bonus if we find out something about you before your husband does.
So no, I mean,
Are you an open book?
I think you guys know me pretty well. I kind of don't hold anything back, and it's like I said, it's a double-edged sword because sometimes that gets me in trouble. But there's really nothing that I could really share, even if I wanted to. I don't
All right,
know.
we're gonna have to come back to this
Yeah,
I'll
question.
think about that.
The house transition wasn't smooth. Yes, and you learned lessons. We'll keep it simple, but
Learn lesson that you need to have a really good
Lawyer.
attorney on file at all times. You need to have really good relationship with your realtor, and trust no one, and get it in writing. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance that I find myself in, knowing a little bit about Stephanie's situation. You want to trust people, and you want to trust even the people that are looking out for your interests. But at the end of the day, right, we really only have ourselves to rely upon. You know, and it's this delicate balance between, entrusting the people that are going to make money off of your transaction, the people that you go to give you advice, and just relying entirely on yourself. And it's delicate. It's difficult to know where to place your trust all the time. But it's all good now.
It's great.
Good.
It's
Good.
crazy but great.
So, I happen to know one thing that I love to death about you, Stephanie
Oh
Puzzo.
God.
Yeah. No, this is
drum roll.
No, this is big. This is important. Is that so? I've always believed that the difference between people that get stuff done and the people that don't are the ones that have real, like, vision and like laser focus and a goal in mind. There's a belief in your own abilities, but that by itself doesn't do it. What you need with that is to be able to start walking, right? You got to be able to start taking action, which I always say, even if you don't know how you're going to get there, you just start walking,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
And I think
Just
that
start
you
swimming or
do
just
that.
keep swimming.
I know, that's my
swimming.
motto. I love Dory.
But I think that you do that, right? I think that, like, we've talked about, are we allowed to talk about the life coach thing?
Yes.
All right, so we've talked about the life coach thing, we've talked about the cooking thing, right? Stephanie has a passion for both, right? But you don't just say, this is something that is gonna happen at some point. You start walking, you start taking action, you start applying for shit, excuse my language. You start reading up, you actually take action, and it's like we all know people that just say, oh, I'm getting ready to do something, or
It doesn't happen.
yeah, no, you take action. I take action. Molly takes action. That's secretly one of the reasons you're here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because you don't just say, I'm getting ready to do something.
No.
You're getting ready to do something, and then you're doing it, right? Does that make sense, Molly?
It does.
Right. Yeah.
That's probably why we're kindred spirits.
Yeah. So, all right, with that context, with that backdrop, talk to the kids at home about something that not only you've had your sights set on, but to which you have started walking, even though you don't know how you're going to get there.
So, yes. So here's what one thing that I didn't know about myself is that I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up.
We still don't. I don't anyway.
So,
I want to be Alex.
yeah. Everyone wants to
You
be
gotta set
Alex.
your sights way higher than that.
So I decided after a lot of research and trying the cooking thing, which I still do to keep me busy, but I decided that there's not enough empowerment in each other, in women, in children. We're so busy with our lives and trying to get to the end goal that we forget all the steps that you need to get there.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? So if you're a business owner, or just an executive or someone that started, at the bottom of the barrel and trying to get up top, you try to rush there, but you tend to step on people's heads. You forget how you got there, and when you get there, the people below you tend to disconnect. So that's part of the empowerment. What do I mean by that? So if you're a CEO of a company, your biggest asset are your employees.
Right.
So, and the most expensive, because you're paying for everything for them. And training alone, research has shown that we throw away a lot of money because they stay maybe a year, then they quit. And people don't quit their job because of corporations. People quit their jobs because of their boss. So the connection, the link is missing. So I'd like to empower, and specifically women, because we do a really good job on putting each other down and stepping on each other's head to get somewhere. And we're very catty, and even though we look professional, sometimes we're not. So building that link between the C-suite and the people that do their job every day to get you there, and it's called emotional intelligence. What can I do better as a CEO, as a woman, as a man, to make sure that my employees are happy? Because if they're producing, then I'm gaining from it anyway. So it's a double-edged sword.
So this is something that you've been learning about, and also learning about how to coach people on.
Right. So we're very lucky that in Cleveland we have a place called the Gestalt Institute, which is one of the best in the world. They come from all over the world to go to this institute.
And I'm gonna interrupt you, because Gestalt is a type of learning.
Correct.
Right. And it's like a psychological. What's the basic premise of it? It's that you learn by
So the Gestalt was a psychologist, I want to say, and I didn't get, well, I'll get to that. I didn't get to take the course. What I learned from it is learning through emotional intelligence, through practice and guidance. I'm not sure. I didn't get to read the books yet. I'm not privy to those yet, but.
But this is a school that teaches coaches how to be good coaches. Is that how it goes?
And you can get a certificate that allows you to do that, and there's also an international certificate that allows you to teach all over the world and help and and coach.
Is that what you see yourself?
Possibly. I start small.
Have you been able to take some of this learning into the bank and with your own staff?
So I've always, through my work, I've always been a coach. They've always taught us how to coach. But no, I was going to start this year, and unfortunately, due to a lot of things, I could not. It's a 5-month learning experience, almost like a master's program, and they were so kind to try to even give me a break on the tuition, but unfortunately, today wasn't the year, and I made peace with that. I think next year will be better. Too much going on, the house, the kids, so next year I will go. And then I can coach through work, and I'd like to do that on the side at some point, and when I grow up, possibly do it on a grander scale. But I'd like this to be one of my arsenal pieces for future reference.
So have you enrolled in the what's the...
No, I can't start until I'll have a summer course next year. That's a 2-day course, and then I'll start next November full time.
Okay, and then at some point thereafter, you will be like a certified coach.
I will.
Right, and until then, you can only coach like you do with me and Molly, right? Over a coffee or a glass of wine.
You're a handful, yes.
Yeah.
We're a hot mess, is what we are.
Yeah.
We need lots of coaching.
For sure.
I get inspired every time I talk to you. Honestly.
Oh, I love you too.
No, for sure. And I feel like you've got.
I love her too.
Well, I'm not. This isn't a competition, Molly. Jesus.
Yeah, it is. Come on.
Yeah, I love more.
No, but
Remember, watch your swearing.
I know. Nellie said I got to stop saying Jesus.
And the other, the GD word. I'll have to say that either.
Did I say that before?
No, just don't say it.
All right. You're telling me not to say what I don't say already.
I'm just pre-warning you.
That's fine.
Don't get yelled at.
So, one of the reasons that I get inspired whenever we talk is that, like, it seems like, let me back up. Can I back up for a second?
Please
I've been
do.
reading a lot about Stoicism lately. Okay, do you guys ever read about Stoicism?
No.
All right. So, Marcus Aurelius, great Roman emperor, right? At the height of the Roman Empire, wrote a series of really kind of like journal entries that were eventually formalized into books called Meditations. And his teacher was a guy named Seneca, right? A great Roman philosopher. There was another
casino too.
also, sure. I think there's a Native American tribe named after them.
Correct, yeah.
Probably unrelated.
No, I think it's pretty related.
Whatever. So, and then there's Epictetus, right? The Epicurean, the word Epicurean comes from Epictetus, which is all about loving life. Anyway, Stoicism is this philosophy that is really practical, and it's based on this foundation of separating things that you can control from the things that you can't control, right? And this was a huge, like, I didn't really appreciate that I did this already, but now that I read about it and internalize it even more, I find myself in this familiar territory. So there was a time, maybe like, I don't know, 15 years ago, I had to go to Iraq. I didn't want to go to Iraq, but I went to Iraq. And I had just gotten engaged. I had just gotten this new job at this great law firm that I couldn't wait to start working at. And there was this real sense of positive force in my life. And I just couldn't wait to, just start walking, right? And then I had to go to Iraq, right? And
Would this be Desert Storm time?
this was the second Iraqi war, yeah, in 2003. And the one thing that, and I'll bring this all full circle in a second, the one thing that really helped me avoid like a nervous breakdown on a regular basis was there are things that I can control in my life and things that I can't control in my life. And if I'm able to surgically separate, physically separate everything in my life into those two buckets, and then stop thinking about the things I can't control, like having to leave my family for a year and leave my job for a year, right? And only think about the things that I can control. Getting these soldiers back home in one piece. Doing the mission that I've got to do over there. Doing whatever job has been delegated to me as an officer in the United States Army. If those are the only things that I think about, it's difficult to be stressed out because you've got a sequence and you've got a set of priorities and you just kind of know which way to march. When I talked to you last time, I think it was...
At lunch, wasn't it?
It was probably that one lunch, right? But no. It was here. It was here in this conference room.
Yeah.
And I was telling you about some personal problems I was having. And I feel like you intuitively were like, all right, here's things you can control. Here's things you can't control. Control these things, right, in the second column.
In
right?
faith, we say, let go, let God.
Yeah, right? But that, to me, I see that about Stephanie for sure. You, Molly, I think you do the same thing in your life. Do you think that's true? You just generally don't stress out.
I don't stress out, no, but general. I do worry about things I can't control.
Do you really?
Yeah, because I'm a control freak.
Well, so that's interesting you say. So all humans, I think, feel, especially women, because we have this DNA about being the caretakers and the pleasers. I'll make sure my husband's okay, my kids are okay, food's on the table. Oh, my boss needs me to be okay. So we tend to like hold it all in, and then we explode, whether it's internally and we don't let anybody see it because it's unacceptable because women are supposed to be good at everything. So there's this, for women it's different, I think, than for men. I think for men it's more like I have to be the caretaker, bring the money home, things like that. So we feel like we have to control all these things. But, I think the lesson I learned, the biggest lesson was my mom, when she died, is that we can't control everything. The outcome is out of our hands. We can control how we react to things. We can control how we deal with things, but we can't control even of that outcome. So if you're going through, and it's easier said than done. I do it as well. Like I worry about work because I want to make sure my boss is happy because I respect him and he's a good friend, and I want to make sure my my staff is happy, my kids have to be where they need to be. So it's very difficult to do, but I'm learning every day that unless I want to be sick all the time.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about it too is I think that the biggest problem that most people have is not knowing which bucket to put that thing they're worried about into, right?
Exactly.
And so like, and I can't say that this is true about women more than men, but certainly women that I know worry a lot about.
Which is many, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I know a handful. But this is true equally of men too, right? When you start worrying about image, right? When you start thinking about how are other people going to think about this thing that I'm supposed to be doing, right? When that becomes more important than should I be doing this thing or not doing this thing because it's the right thing to do, right? As opposed to should I be doing this because of what other people think, right? Like I've
talked about that before.
Yeah, and it's a tough call because on the one hand, especially in business, you hear reputation is important, right? But the way so when I hear reputation is important, one interpretation of that is, well, that means that what other people think of you matters. But I think that there's a better interpretation of that. I think the way I interpret it is it matters to the extent that your word is your bond, right? So if your integrity, right? If you keeping your word, you showing up on time, no offense, Molly, to that last podcast that you missed. No, nothing.
It wasn't a podcast
I'm not talking.
I missed.
Whatever.
It was a video.
Not what I was thinking about at all.
Yeah, well,
no, but,
now,
but in
and
general,
thank goodness I don't give a crap what you think.
Play
So.
nice, kids.
in general, no. But like, all right, if the thing, let me think of the right way to articulate this. If you are worried about how other people think of you based on whether you keep your word, right? Then I think that matters,
Oh, yeah.
right? But if you're worried about how other people think of you,
Like the way you dress or speak or perform or...
Superficial.
Yes.
in a way that's unrelated to what matters in your own values.
And maybe that's why I don't stress.
Yeah.
Because I don't... it's not that I don't care what people think about me. Because obviously you want people
Right.
to
Of course.
consider yourself a good human being.
Yeah.
But I don't... Like, I'll make an ass of myself, or I'll... as I'm doing it, I'm not thinking, oh boy, I hope Stephanie doesn't think I'm looking like an ass. Like, I am just me. So I never stress about what other people are thinking. I mean, walked around town in a Santa suit, for goodness sakes. So I don't, and I would think people that do that would be a huge stress on them.
Yeah.
I think that comes with age too. If you agree with
Yeah,
that.
stronger.
You just become a little bit
stronger
more.
age.
You build a thicker skin. I think. I agree with that. So do you care? So this is what I teach my kids: is that every word that comes out of your mouth has to have purpose. So
I like that.
Okay, so it has to have a purpose. So they understand what it means, and also decisions that you make not only affect you but could affect the ones around you. So be very wise to that decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make good decisions.
So exactly. So I am a Reformed Catholic. So I respect religion. I just don't believe in it. But and sometimes I get criticized for that. It doesn't make me a bad person. I still have values. I still believe to be a good, kind
You're
person.
going to get cut off very soon because there's no religious or politics
Right.
in the podcast.
I won't cut. Molly might cut you off.
No, I'm just saying. Just because I don't fit in a pot of religion, it doesn't make me a bad person. It just I just say integrity is important because people are going to judge you not only for the action that you have done today, but for in the future. So I agree with that. I think integrity and if you make a promise, you have to keep it.
Yeah.
You know what I find in the women pool? We
Are we talking about a pool of women right
apologize.
now?
Okay, get your dirty mind.
The wrong game. Wrong game.
She
We
said women
apologize
pool.
way too much to each other. Like when you're
Yeah.
at the store
I agree.
and it is count as a woman, count how many times you apologize at the grocery store. You go to the shelf and you go to grab it and there's
I'm sorry.
someone, oh, I'm sorry.
Is that
Or,
true?
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh,
Really?
you've got your card and then she gets her card. Oh, I'm
sorry.
It
What?
is. We need to stop that, ladies. We need to stop apologizing for doing what we're doing. It is, oh my gosh.
I've never known of this phenomenon.
It's.
I
It's
agree
horrible.
a trillion
It's
percent.
horrible.
It's always I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm
does
sorry.
it bother anybody besides Molly?
No, it bothers me too.
It does?
I think it bothers all of us, but we just are. I don't know why we do it. I don't want
Hold on.
it.
Wait, hang on a second. Hang on.
Go to the
Is
grocery
it-
store and just sit there, and you'll
Wait,
hear them
I
say,
want to.
"Don't go to Walmart and don't sit in the
No, we
bathroom."
don't do Walmart. I don't pay for Walmart.
Listen, hold on a second. Are you misinterpreting what I'm sorry means in that context? Couldn't it, I mean, is it more like,
No,
pardon
it's
me?
not like
is
I'm
it like
bumping her and I'm saying, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm bumping you. It is like she's there, I'm here, and I'm grabbing this, and she's clearly picking up that.
And we feel like we're in their way. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I'm going behind you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm excuse me.
Really?
Oh, it's
I
not
can't,
fun,
this
ladies.
is the
We need to
weirdest
get
thing I've
over
ever
that.
heard.
Yeah.
We need to get over it. I need calls for this one.
Next time somebody says that to me, I'm going to tell them off.
Nellie's probably gonna.
Next
I
time,
wouldn't go as far as
I'm
telling
going
them
to be like,
off.
listen, dude.
Nellie's gonna
But you know
cut
what?
this whole
Challenge,
thing
what are you
out.
sorry
So
for?
yeah, well that's
Ask,
it.
what are you sorry for?
And I say, what are you apologizing for? You know, don't apologize
I'm
to
going
me.
to throw a can of soup at him.
Oh my god. That's a whole other lawsuit.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
funny that you say
Yes,
that.
it's so we need
But
to
I
stop.
think, but you guys are tying this into some broader, like, feminist concept.
And I'm
here.
not. I'm
No,
not
you're
a
saying
feminist at all.
you guys
I
are
agree
saying
with
that
you.
women apologize
because
more than
we're
men
probably,
do. Is that what I'm hearing? Is it like?
Oh, I would
It sounds
probably
like-
definitely, but men apologize for things that the shit they do wrong, which is a lot of the times. So they're apologizing a lot of the times. Women apologize for just
Being women.
being existing.
Yeah,
yes.
you're right. Men do it because we just don't want to
'Cause you got
deal with
in
it.
trouble.
We
'Cause you
just don't
did
want to
something
talk about
wrong.
it anymore.
That's a
Yes.
whole other therapy session.
Yes.
And
we
we'll
just
leave
want to
that-
watch the football
Let's
game.
leave that alone, Alex.
Yes. This
Don't
whole,
open that
I
can
think
of
Nellie
worms.
might just cut the whole podcast.
No, this is all this is valuable psychoanalysis right
I don't know
here.
about that.
All right.
Disclaimer, I'm not that.
So, cooking.
Yes.
All right, I want to start cooking.
Okay.
All right, and I was thinking about getting Blue Apron.
Very good.
Okay, so do you know about Blue Apron,
I
Molly?
do.
All right, so here,
Just
do you-
because I don't have a fridge doesn't mean I don't know about Blue Apron.
all right, so check this out. I'm starting to appreciate the zen of cooking in a way that I never have before.
Oh.
Okay.
It's I can't even tell you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, here I'm going to tell you what I think about it, and then I want you to tell me. I want you to add your thoughts to it. Okay. So what? So as you both know, I meditate a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I try to be very mindful of moment to moment, happiness and beauty and goodness and whatever. So those are scientific.
Is that why you
and
hang
what
around me so much?
And whatever
and
is
whatever
more
is a
scientific.
metric. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So what I've realized about cooking, right, is that there's a lot of patience that's required, right, and that while you're waiting for something to boil, or while you're waiting, or while you're doing things that otherwise might seem mundane and boring, like picking out the right ingredients, right, there is a real beauty in that for me, right, if you know where to look. And that moment when you're walking down Heinen's and you know that you need to get, I don't know, tomatoes, right? If you pay attention and at that moment have this thought, right? You're shaking your head already. Listen to me.
I'm
This is
trying to
important.
follow
This is
you.
important. If you have this thought, man, this is a really great thing that I have the freedom and the ability to walk in a grocery store and there's an abundance of tomatoes.
Well, that's
here.
your gratitude that you're also
Exactly.
going through.
If you tap into that, then you get real joy out of that. And then when you're choosing you have a million tomatoes to choose from. You get to choose any one of those. You bring that home.
And you pay for it with money. That's,
and then
another one that we miss out on.
The process, and then you think about the process from the farm all the way to your table, and there's like so many steps along the way, and you're like, man, it's amazing that this food is now here, and I'm about to start slicing it and putting it into my, pot or whatever.
And then you think of sausage party and...
Okay, let's leave that alone as well.
How dare you? You just poisoned my...
You said slicing tomatoes. I haven't seen it.
Here's my point. My point is that I have started to appreciate the moment-to-moment beauty of cooking and preparing the food and then eating it mindfully, right? So I forget what my point of all of that was.
I'm listening.
Other
You
than
have me engaged. Go ahead.
other than.
Well, because Stephanie
I
likes to
remember.
cook.
No, here's what it was. So I'm a guy
that.
who doesn't have a ton of confidence in complexity of cooking, right? If 4 steps is about all I can really do, right? Anything beyond that, I'm just going to screw it up. So that's why Blue Apron seems like a natural thing, right? They give you like the 4 steps you got to do.
And the exact amount of ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
And the perfect ingredients.
But that conflicts with me going to the store and choosing my ingredients and doing all of that. And so my question to you, Stephanie, is if I go Blue Apron, am I doing the optimal thing to cook good food, or should I just cheat and get ingredients and recipes off the internet and just do it all myself?
So I'm very fond of the Blue Aprons. There's a ton of, actually Giant Eagle has its own thing. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I did know
But I have
that.
the Market District. They have 3 different plans where you can have a daily, weekly, monthly. A lot of companies are coming out with that. So eating and cooking is a huge topic that we can narrow down in a lot of different avenues. But here's how I feel. Your question is, am I doing the right thing? Yes, because it fits you right now. Okay?
I like that.
As you get more confident, as you get better and understand that just because you turn the heat up doesn't make it cook quicker.
Right.
You understand the complexity of the ingredients and learn about what they do, what they don't do. Then you can get more crazy and go to the store yourself and kind of take that into consideration. But what these programs have helped our society do is take back their kitchen. Okay, so...
Yeah, and give variety.
Exactly, because I can tell you, and I'm sure you know, a lot of women, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? I'm so bored. We've been married 30 years. I make the same thing over. It's Meatloaf Tuesday, whatever.
Right.
So I think the kitchen speaks a lot about your family life, a little bit about your sex life, and who you are, right?
Are we talking about sex in the kitchen right now?
We could.
I think I'm in trouble because I don't even have a kitchen table.
We'll get to that later.
And now no refrigerator. Oh,
What's going on in that house?
The signs are...
Goodness.
Well, we're empty nesters now, so... We
You're
don't have
living la
kids
vida
to-
loca. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have kids to
So
cook for.
so Molly just has sex in the garage is what she's telling us.
You know what? Who am I to judge?
That's damn straight.
To each their
I
own.
have sex wherever I want to have sex.
That's
I'm
right,
not telling you where you should have sex, Molly. All right, go ahead, Stephanie.
Anyways.
Where were we?
Let's bring it back. So cooking is number one, a great way. To me, it's a cathartic experience. So I come home at night, people are screaming, the dog's screaming, I need this, my work is here, and then I open my refrigerator, and it goes, oh, what am I making for dinner, right? I don't pre-plan, 98% I don't pre-plan. I just buy enough groceries throughout the week to get inspired for what I have. The best meal you can make should have no more than 5 ingredients.
Interesting.
If you're putting more than 5 ingredients, you're just making a hot mess.
Wait, into one dish.
One dish, right?
Okay, so you'll have other ingredients for the side dishes.
Possibly.
Okay, but
But-
5 ingredients for one dish.
Yeah, I'm really good at main dishes that fill
Yeah, I think-
everything because of the time, you know. Some things, like if I have a day off, I might cook something that takes longer, but for the most part, so yeah, it's a cathartic experience. So I'm here, I'm chopping my whatever, I'm thinking about when should I put the oven on, I'm thinking about, what I need to stir and how this needs to happen and how much of this, and it's everything around me is white noise, right? And then I have this meal that I present to my family, because that's my love to them. I'm feeding you, I made this for you. And we sit down and talk. So we have a rule. We have to sit down at the table. We don't eat by the TV. We don't eat in our rooms.
It's a great rule.
We don't,
That is a good rule.
Research shows that families who eat together have better relationships, and they're better human beings for it.
Sure. Well,
So,
there's a lot more conversation that happens, and I think that the related research would probably suggest that families that talk to each other instead of just staring at screens or staring at their TV together are going to have better connection and relationships. And that dinner table is a great time to do that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Sure. Yeah.
And I love it. It's my favorite time. And, Sunday dinner, my brother comes over or all the kids are running around. So I think, to answer your question, yes, you're doing a right thing for you.
Yeah.
Explore other companies. So, there's other things out there that might be different. I wouldn't say better, but different. And once you kind of learn your way around the kitchen, you can, I love Heinz. It's my favorite store. I'm very mindful of trying to buy products that are from the U.S., if not specifically local. Huge advocate of that. Support your locals.
How do you feel about organic food? You stick to organics, or do you think it's all...
I try as much as I can to buy organic, but I truly believe that there's no true organic anymore.
Really?
Because I feel that, when you use pesticides and or special things to make your plant grow, whatever, the pollen, I hate to say it, it goes everywhere, right? So everything kind of gets mixed and, in the ground gets overused. So is there a true organic? Unless you're growing it in your backyard with manure, that's your true organic. To spend all that money on true organic.
Interesting.
It's
Molly,
interesting.
do you do all the cooking in your house?
She's an empty nester.
Are you taking a nap over there, Molly? I'm still paying attention.
I'm just trying to figure out if my husband's going to be listening to this part, if I can lie or not.
Do you want to get back to us on this question?
Let me tell you, I am a mean chef. I can bust it out.
Yeah.
But I don't choose to.
Really? Why? You're like, kids are out of the house. I don't have to impress anybody.
Yeah, I work
They're on their
very
own now.
late.
Yeah, you have crazy hours.
Yeah, my husband works very late, and to go home, get home at 7, and then spend another hour preparing dinner. I would rather meet him somewhere on his way home so that he and I can be together.
You should try Blue Apron. Blue Apron.
You still have to, it's still 20, 45 minutes of preparing it. That 20 to 45 minutes can be spent with he and I sitting at a restaurant having someone else do it, and we're talking. And when you live in this area and this is your kitchen, then
good food over there.
Sure is.
Stephanie, have you ever thought about opening a restaurant?
Yes, and I would never do it.
Why?
Because
your family comes from that, the bakery.
My aunt had a restaurant in Long Island for many, many years. She was enslaved in that restaurant. Didn't get to enjoy life. The day that my uncle retired and said, we're going to go to Hawaii for 6 months a year, he passed away with a heart attack. So looking back, he spent his whole life in a kitchen, and I can't. So that's why,
And do you do the Sunday sauce? Is that what?
So that's an American thing.
What does that mean?
Gotcha.
What does that mean?
The gravy or the sauce?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So there's this thing where that people think that in Italy on Sunday we cook this sauce and it cooks all day, and then you have this, and
the whole family comes over.
No. Family comes over, but no, we don't.
What does Sunday sauce mean, though?
Like the sauce, the pasta sauce, the gravy.
I know, but why Sunday?
Because it was just the day that they all gathered together.
That's the big meal of the week. The whole family comes together.
So do you do sauce? Do you do gravy?
yes, we make our own tomato sauce. We make about 200 to 300 jars in the summer to have all winter. So we do that, but we don't cook pasta every day. You know, we maybe eat it once every 5-6 days.
That's like on my bucket list.
What is?
Is to go to an Italian home on Sunday and have Sunday meal with Italians.
Good to know.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
That's on your bucket list?
Yeah, because
can make it
I
happen.
can't say I've ever had fresh pasta sauce ever. Why? How would I? I'm Hungarian and Irish.
All right, you're
I
gonna be
would,
invited
yeah.
to after the
Okay.
holidays. We'll do
And
Sunday
that
dinner.
wasn't for an invitation.
No, but
because
I
I
want
could
you
go
to
to
do
another
it.
Italian.
Really
No.
nice job fishing for us.
Anyone that's
tomorrow.
Italian, please call in and invite me over for Sunday. No, I think that I would just love to feel that love, to be a part of that, because I have something maybe totally different in my head, but that I want to be a part of that.
Interesting.
That's good stuff.
All right, lightning round.
Go.
Yes.
Ready?
Go.
Here it comes.
Oh no.
Stephanie Puzzo,
Yes.
biggest success.
My children.
All right, from now on, we're saying no children as your answer
Biggest
to the biggest success.
success
I know
other
it.
than your children.
Yeah. Unless you hate your children, not to poo-poo your answer. Maybe I should wait. All right, first tell us why your children are your biggest success, and then I'm going to ask you to name your biggest success other than your children.
Maybe because I had to go through hell and back to have them.
Like biologically or
Biologically.
psychologically or
Biologically.
really?
Yeah.
Health-wise? and-
Health-wise. I had
Is this podcast material?
It is. I had
Okay, well, tell us.
between all my kids I had 10 miscarriages.
What?
And,
Get outta here.
And 2 years ago I had a stillbirth.
Oh.
Jesus, man.
So
That's a
yes,
lot
they
of.
are my biggest success because
Yeah, well, all right.
doesn't
Now
want
I-
to keep them in.
Now we don't. Now I feel bad for saying other than your
No,
children.
that's-
But-
That. All right. For
She
future.
literally meant success.
Yeah,
For
like-
future
like I did
guests.
it.
Yeah.
Unless you've had 10 miscarriages.
You can't answer your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's now the new bar.
Wow.
That's the new threshold.
That's
Wow,
and that
Stephanie, I
in
didn't know
itself
that.
is
So endurance is my biggest success.
Jeez, oh
and
man,
going
you just
through-
get right back in the saddle and
What are you gonna do? You can't sit
You
there
keep
and
going, I
curl
guess.
up in a ball and
you
say
could
You
Some
could,
do.
but
Yeah, some
what would
do.
you
over one.
What would you accomplish?
Yeah. Wow.
good for you, man.
Wow. That's
And that goes back
that's
to
my amazing right there. If I can pull one amazingness from Stephanie, which she has many, but that is.
but that goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is one of the
She
reasons
just gets
why I
up
love
and
you.
keeps
Is
swimming.
that you just keep walking, man. It doesn't matter.
You also have to have a really good Jewish therapist on speed dial.
That does not hurt.
Does not hurt. I love my therapist. He's a pretty great guy.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy, but you have to do it.
You have 2 daughters,
I have 2, yes.
lovely daughters. How
Beautiful
old are
daughters.
they?
One turns 14 this Thursday, and one turns 9 January 15th.
14 and 9, good ages. All right, biggest failure.
My biggest.
My children.
Coming on this podcast to talk to you idiots.
Wow. That should have been a success.
Other than coming on this podcast, what's your biggest failure?
I was coerced into this. My biggest failure, I think, would have to be not being able to finish college.
Interesting.
Right there with you.
Is that true?
Oh, for sure. I think that's a regret and a failure.
It's a double.
Yeah, it sticks
double,
with you. It stings.
There's so much stigma with having that piece of paper. Even though I'm better than a lot of people that have diplomas, and
I
no
can name a
offense to
million.
people,
Yeah.
but
Agree.
yeah.
Well, okay, so I want to unpack that for a minute. But first, why did you not finish college?
So I was going to get my business degree of sorts, and then my mom got sick.
Okay.
And we couldn't afford not having additional income or someone to take care of her during the day.
Okay.
So
And yet you consider that a failure.
it is, because hindsight, I could have, but I mean, this is a huge unraveling ball, and we could be here
Yeah.
all day. But it was.
We need to get the Jewish
Yeah.
therapist on the line.
On the
if we
line.
wanna
You got a
go
Jewish
deep.
therapist right here, man. What are you talking about?
No, but so my husband needed to go to college first in order to keep his visa. So
I
we
see.
had to focus, all of our expenses and our life on him, or else,
Okay.
So now I'm older and wiser. So it is a failure and a regret, but I'm trying to change that.
Why did you not go to college, and why is that a failure for you?
Because I partied too much.
I can't see that.
And I got pregnant.
So, I don't consider either of your answers as failures.
It's not, and I correct me if I'm wrong. It's not the fact of, it's the moving forward and trying to be who we are and successful, and you always feel like you're maybe 1 inch lower because you didn't go to college, and you're, especially in
our industry.
Yeah, you hear.
It gives you credibility.
Oh my gosh, you didn't graduate college.
Yeah, but so this all comes full circle to what we were talking about earlier,
it does,
right?
now that I'm saying that.
So listen, so number one, right? There's that difference between what other people think of you for.
But I don't know if it's what other people think of me more than what I think about myself for not finishing it.
So then, right, the way I define failure is a choice that you made that if you had done it, that if you thought about it knowing then what you know now, you would have chosen differently. And I would only consider, so that's number one. And number two is I would only consider it a failure if you did not learn from it and grow from it. Then it's a failure. Otherwise, it's a part of your experience that you learn from and that you really wouldn't even want to.
Then I would think no one would say anything because you would learn from everything.
Yes, the answer is
there is no right answer.
If you have made a decision that you never learned from, then that would be a failure. If you've made a decision that was wrong at the time, knowing what you know now, but from which you have learned and grown, then by definition I would not consider that a failure.
Well, I would assume that if you did something that's wrong, you're probably still doing that thing because you haven't learned from it.
Right? So you wouldn't
So
know if
you're
it's a failure or not.
Well,
to
here's
do it.
what I'll tell you.
I think this podcast today has gone so deep, my brain hurts.
Really?
We have not yet begun to hurt your brain, Molly. Here's my point. I can honestly say, as I sit here, right, and this is a bold statement, right, but I journal every single day, and I can honestly say that after I have cataloged and surveyed my entire life, I cannot think of a failure in my life because I've learned from every stupid, boneheaded thing that I've done.
I agree.
Right? And so...
would you say that regret and failure are two different questions?
Yes.
Okay, well then maybe we should change it to regret. If you're saying that no one should have a failure,
I like saying...
I love the way you're telling us that what we have felt is our biggest regret is not right.
All I'm telling you is
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing, Mom.
All I'm saying is I define failure differently from how you guys define failure.
Well, then I would go with regret. Mine's a regret, then it's
right.
not a failure.
So what's your biggest regret?
I don't have one.
Regret
now?
Not finishing college?
Because I have,
so no
according
failure.
to you, I don't have any.
No,
we would have regrets. I have like 3, I think we both would
have.
Oh,
for sure.
What's your biggest regret?
Well, besides not finishing
college would be your biggest regret?
Taking advantage of living in Europe and going to every single country. Biggest regret. When I could just drive there.
Good.
Wow.
What's your biggest regret?
I have the college, and there's ones that I won't.
So here's what I would tell you, both of you, as your Jewish.
You don't
therapist.
have regrets either.
No, I got tons of them.
He's perfect.
Stop psychoanalyzing us, okay?
No, here I'm going to because I'm your Jewish therapist. So what I would say is, Stephanie, if you really want to finish college, you still can, and go and travel Europe, you totally still can, and there's no reason you couldn't. And Molly, if you think it's important enough to finish college right now, you still totally can. Yeah, but I don't know why you would.
Priorities have changed, though.
Yeah.
But then it shouldn't be a regret.
Okay,
Oh,
we're not.
now
Okay,
regret isn't good enough for you. Let's move on.
You know what? Next question.
You are not a
I'm
licensed.
about to drop kick your ass.
What are you talking? I'm a licensed bullshitter.
Yes.
I can.
got that
I've got a
right.
BS in.
BS.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Good night.
Stephanie Puzzo.
What, Alexander?
Do you have any limiting beliefs, and if so, how do you deal with them?
Limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Like, give me an example.
I cannot I can't swim. I can't do math well. I don't read as fast as I should read. I am a bad parent. I don't cook well. None of these are personal, by the way.
I was gonna say, take note.
But the point is, things like bad self-talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever send yourself like negative messages? And if so, what are they and how do you deal with them?
So, wow, okay. So my biggest one, which I know I can do something about, but it's deeper rooted, is my image.
Really?
Yes.
See, because Molly and I,
rocking the short hair. What do you mean?
Molly and I think your image is awesome.
Rocking the short
So
hair.
I love you both, but
I wasn't thinking about the hair at all. I
Oh,
was
I
thinking just
love the hair.
the
Loved
beauty
it.
emanating from Stephanie Puzzo.
So
She knows I know.
I had this coworker in my previous job who I adore, and we're still very good friends, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
However, when she walked into a room, the room radiated. I can't explain it, but she walked to the room and she had presence, and the world just stopped, and there she was, and everybody paid attention. So she was very beautiful and, very poised, and so in the business world, I hate to say it, when you walk into a meeting and you're not a certain way, you're looked at different. So, and I'm sure, I don't know, maybe you don't, but, if you go into a courtroom and this beautiful looking lawyer walks in and a nice tight black suit with her beautiful blue, shirt underneath with a beautiful figure, she demands presence, right? So the attention's on her words are credible,
So this is a limiting belief.
It's a limiting belief.
How do you deal with that?
How do I deal with it? So,
Because you seem to me to be very confident and self-assured.
and that's how I deal with it. So I learned,
Yeah.
I learned that you can't just get by on BSing, even though you think you can.
Yeah.
So when you talk, your words have to have credibility. You can't just pull things out of the air. So know your subject, whatever your audience is, know it inside and out. Just, that's my confidence.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking to a room about something, I need to know it inside out. So my words have credibility.
I like that. So in other words, just do a good job.
Just do a good job.
Do the best you
honest.
can.
With what you've got.
Yeah. So I was in Chicago the end of this last week, and I was sitting waiting for the plane on the way back, and I watched a video at the airport by a guy named Dr. Ammond, or maybe it's Ammon, I forget. But he's got a clinic for like brain scans. He's a neurologist. But one thing that he coined this phrase, automatic negative thoughts, ANTs, A-N-T, right?
Okay.
Automatic negative thoughts. And in this video, it's he and his wife talking about how you shouldn't believe everything that your brain
Is telling you.
Yeah. We've talked in prior podcasts about this concept that if the voice in your head were your roommate, you would kill it. You would kill him.
I would.
Because he's always chattering.
Oh my.
Right?
He's always chattering, and he's always judgmental, and every once in a while he's involuntarily negative, right?
Yeah,
And there's nothing you can do about it, right?
No.
So in this video, Dr. Ammon goes, and I think it was like what you should say, what you should tell your kids about automatic negative thoughts. But I've been doing this myself. It's a 3-step process. Step 1 is write it down. because by writing it down, you externalize it.
Huh.
And it's now no longer just you in your head. Number 2, question it. Is it true? And number 3, in most cases, it's probably not true, and you'll know that after you've written it down, and then you write down the opposite of it. And if you do those 3 steps, in most cases, that voice, that negative thought, will stop chattering that same negative thought. 3. I honestly, I've tried it. I've been doing it for the last couple days, and I love it. It totally works.
Interesting.
And do you have to remember, like, I'm sure you had some negative thoughts for this last hour and a half during the podcast. Do you then have to remember it?
My notebook is filled right now.
Seriously,
No,
do you?
it's the act of, like, and it's really supposed to be, I think, reserved for, like, when you have this gnawing,
Gotcha.
aching, constant negative thought. Like, I had this trial, and I was in this really bad place after this trial where I was constantly thinking about what I should have done differently, And so, this is the exercise that I did. On the plane, I couldn't stop thinking about what I should have done differently in this one argument. So I wrote it down, and the "is this true" part was, should this have made a difference in this case? And the answer was no, it shouldn't have. We should win this case. We should win this case. And when I wrote that down, it's like it went away. It just kind of like was released.
I might try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do hold things a lot and gnaw at it and think it over, and I'll know at work, I'll say to Helen, I know this is the last I'm going to talk about this, but
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah,
Beat
blah, blah,
a
blah.
dead horse.
Yeah, so I do hold things,
Yeah.
and I'll try to.
Well, and I mean, the reality is that different people have different levels of fixation where they can't let go of that voice, and they associate with it, and it's constantly shouting at them.
That's what I make medication for.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's what you need, All right. Last lightning round question.
Go.
Is Molly's. Molly, do you want to ask her, or do you want me to ask it?
I'll ask it.
All right, you go.
Thank you. Is there an influential woman, your mother or somebody in your life, very, very important, influential woman?
Right now?
No.
Ever.
In
that
your,
has made you the great human
Yes.
being that you are today.
So, yes and no. So, there is not one specific person. At different seasons of my life, women have influenced me. Whether it's negative or positive, they've influenced me. It's kind of like you're on your bike and you're going down this road, right? And there's a lot of little roads that lead to wherever. So one person might influence me to make a right, and one person might influence me to make a left. But it's still my path, wrong or right as it may be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at different seasons, when I was younger with somebody, as I got older, and now, there's always somebody influencing who I am.
I'm still going to go 6 for 6.
Is there a particular woman in your life that stands out above all others?
Sadly.
Maybe.
It's a
Maybe
Molly
I can't
Gepler.
take it.
Maybe it's Molly.
I probably should
No,
say
I'm-
mom, but we didn't have that type of relationship, so no.
Okay.
Maybe I can't take that one.
Well, listen, Molly, everyone's different.
It's all right. I'm 6 for 0.
No,
Or 6
see,
for 1 for 6.
Why? What do you
Six
think?
I don't think you can
I
count.
feel like that with amazing people, there is a strong woman in their life. And I'm not saying that because you said that you're not amazing now.
No, I get it. I see what
I
you're
want
saying.
that. I'm just looking for that recipe.
You know what, Molly? I think everyone is looking for that recipe, and there isn't one. I think everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own issues, their own successes, their own regrets that makes them who they are. We spend a lot of time thinking back, just like you said, could I have done that differently? Should I have hung out with that person? Would it have made me better? Was that choice the right choice? We don't know. There's no recipe. It's you're here today because of what you did and decisions you made. That's your recipe. It might get better. It might get worse. But we deal with it as it comes.
If you got to write one thing on a billboard that everyone driving through Chagrin Falls would have to look at, what would it be?
Live life.
What would yours be, Molly?
Go be amazing.
Go be amazing?
It's funny. When my kids do something, like, God, that game sucked. I could have played better. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know. Well, next time, be more awesome. I can't be more awesome. Yes, you can. Just be more awesome. I think that would be my billboard.
Yeah.
Be more awesome.
I think mine would be stop looking up here. No, or something
Keep
along.
your eyes on the road.
Yeah, or something along. No, but in all seriousness, it would probably be something to the effect of you should be more present. You know, pay attention to what you're doing, including not looking up here.
You were a hot mess.
I'm telling you, that's a generous description. All right. We've covered everything I wanted to cover.
So.
Molly, do you have any more questions for our awesome guest?
I don't. I will ditto the awesome guest, though.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything that they want to put out to the millions of followers and
anything
people?
going on? Anything coming up?
No, just make sure you do your Christmas shopping. Try to stay as local as you can.
Ooh, good.
Research shows that if every family or every person spends $100 on an American-made product, it creates thousands of jobs. It's something insane. So just look for that Made in America, and enjoy your holidays and be present.
Good stuff. Molly,
right.
Anything?
Nothing coming up. I'm doing a no rush holiday. That is my holiday
That's
this
good.
year. I'm not rushing.
I love it.
It's a no rush holiday.
I was thinking that for this one, wouldn't it be cool if every business owner that is listening to this podcast had a food drive, right? Where you said to your employees, bring 1 to 10, however many canned goods you want, right? Just do it, right? There's stuff in your pantry that you're never going to eat.
I know Lowe's does
Well,
that.
and then bring it to Lowe's. Bring it to.
Or we have a drop-off as well. We have a drop-off box for the Bainbridge Food Bank.
Oh, okay.
In our lobby, so feel free to drop off food and come give us hugs.
That and Winter Coat, the Sub-Zero
Yeah.
mission is a great, and anyone can drop that off at the Township
They're-
Hall. Men's coats and hats and gloves and boots.
Love it.
And they are veterans, homeless vets.
Yeah.
It's the Sub-Zero mission.
If you went through my house right now, you would think there were a bunch of hoarders living in the closet. I'm telling you.
How many coats are in there?
Like a ridiculous amount. So one of the things we're going to do this week is skim
Purge.
a ton of them out of there. So I would suggest that if you own a business, then you have all of your employees' attention at any given point whenever you want it. I would have a food drive or a clothing drive this week. It is, what is it? It's December 12th right now. So you've got 13 days until Christmas.
Not good.
It doesn't matter. However long it is, you've got like potentially 2 weeks to make a real difference by pooling and leveraging.
What will you be collecting here at the Gertzberg Law Firm? Canned goods or?
I think toy. Well, the problem with toys is.
They need it before that.
And they need it, like what Santa was saying this morning is new. They don't want kids don't want used toys because they got. I think we're gonna go with like just food, like non-perishable foods.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you have your choice, kids listening at home. Gertzberg Law Firm, Lowe's Greenhouse, First National Bank. Ask for Stephanie Puzzo. Township Hall. Ask for Molly. All right. But give stuff away.
Yes.
All right. All right. Have we covered everything?
I think we're good.
This was an awesome podcast.
Yes.
But thank
No,
you.
it was fantastic. Good stuff.
Yes.
All right, kids listening
All
at
right,
home,
go
thank
be
you for
amazing.
tuning in. Go be amazing, and we'll see you next time.